Hello again, and welcome to this new episode of Reef Keeping 101 by Dutch Reefer. Today I'm going to talk to you about creating a reefscape for your tank and a few important things about creating a reefscape, how to do that, how to take into account various circumstances, and of course what's the best way of creating a reefscape and what things to use. So starting off, creating a reefscape can sound very easy, but is actually pretty difficult since it's depending on a lot of different factors. So let's get through them one by one. The reefscape that you see right now in my reef tank has evolved over the past year. So I've created it last year in June when it was just a huge pile of rocks, and then slowly built it into something that's both appealing to the eye, at least in my opinion, and something that the fish can take advantage of, because of course you're not creating the reefscape for yourself, you're creating it for your fish and your other tank inhabitants. And a bonus is when it looks good so that you also enjoy it yourself, of course. So there's two different things that you can start using, that you can use to start building a reefscape, which is live rock and dead rock. So of course using live rock is the most ideal to use, since there's already bacteria inside and it's pretty easy to get started with. And then again, if you use dead rocks, which can be fabricated rocks by different companies, or it can be things that dead coral, big pieces of coral that are dead, that you can use for your reefscape, and some ceramic stuff that's also very often used, ceramic rocks. As you can see, I chose for mainly using live rock, but I'm also using real reef rock, which is an artificially made rock, which is still very much like live rock, so it will look quite amazing from day one, instead of going through all different kind of phases and maturing along the way. So my reef has been created by mostly using live rock and real reef rock. Now the first thing you want to do is create some vertical areas in your reef. The easiest way to do that is just to pile rocks on top of each other. That's of course one way, and the other way is by creating reef structures that have supporting structures on the bottom part, and then connecting these structures with big plates, or as you can call them, bridges, to connect them to each other, and that way create something that is visually appealing, and also good for your fish, because your fish of course need some hiding space. So whenever you're creating a reefscape, please make sure that you're taking into account the needs of your fish. They like to be below rocks sometimes. They like to be able to hide from threats or from things they get scared from. So make sure that you don't just pile in a chunk of rock. Always take into account that there's fish or other creatures that would like to make use of that space you're creating. Of course, when you start working vertically, the rocks won't just stay on top of each other, or maybe they will for a while, but if you just place them on top of each other without attaching them to each other, then you will have the risk of them falling over, and eventually if they fall over, they could also land up against your glass pane, which then of course might crack. So it's very important to secure the rocks together. You can do that using a couple of different methods. There's glue, and there's two types of glue that I have used to create a reefscape. There's all kind of different brands that you can use, but I'm using for the big parts, I'm using a two-component glue that you need to mix together. This is one example, which is called Corafix by Growtech, but I've used various different ones. There's also a very good two-component glue by DD Aquariums and one by Aquaforest that I've used in the past, which worked equally the same. So you mix these two glues together, and by mixing them you will have about an hour to attach the rocks, and then when you place them in the water it will slowly dry over time and then be very secured. So I'm going to show you a couple of places where I've used that. So that's right here where you can see it clearly. You can see I've also used it there. There is some, oh hello there, some right here, and at various places on my reef there are these kind of gluey areas where the supports are, to make sure that these rocks stay on top of each other and that they don't fall over, since of course that would be a shame. Another glue that I've been using this for years now. I've always picked this brand because it's very thick glue. It's a Seachem Reef glue. Not sure it. Oh yeah, there we go. So Reef glue by Seachem. It's cyanoacrylate glue, which is the kind of glue that you will also use to attach frags of corals to your reef, and it's very easy to use, and it dries up pretty quickly underwater, and it's pretty thick, and that way you can apply it very well. You can use it to attach smaller rocks to each other. For example, this bridge structure that you see right here, going from this end to this end, that's actually 3 separate pieces of real reef rock glued together by using this cyanoacrylate glue. So these two glues are essentially all you need to create a reefscape like this. So there's, I already mentioned that it's very important to create some open spaces for your fish, since they can appreciate it if they have somewhere to hide. Another reason why it's important to create some vertical open structures is flow. So the last thing you want is that there's an area inside your tank where all the dirt will collect and just stay there and be able to create issues over time. So you want to be able to, you want your tank to be able to pick up all the dirt and not leave it around in a certain spot. And that's a combination of how you place the flow in your tank. So my flow pumps are right here, and then on the opposite side there's some as well. So there's one right there, and on the other end you can see them peeking through the glass. There's one more, and then there's also a Gyre which is mounted vertically over there. And those pumps together create all the flow inside of this tank, and it creates the reef is open enough to oh, sorry for that. The reef is open enough to be able to accommodate all the flow going through, moving through, and essentially moving most of the detritus around the tank and eventually into the overflow box, into the sump. So let's have a quick rundown of my reef. So what I've done is I've created 3 pillars right here. I'll show you the third one on the opposite end, and then placed a big plate on top of that, and then some more rocks right here to create a high vertical space. And then I wanted a big island in the middle of the tank. Since this is a peninsula tank, you need to be a little more creative, because you can't just place rocks against the back pane of the glass. You'll have to build the entire structure supporting itself. So there's a big pillar right here, which is quite securely fixed together. Then there's a pillar right here. These two are connected by a bridge. Then moving to the side, you can see that there's another pillar right here, and there's a big plate connecting these 2 pillars. where there's a lot of space underneath, where the fish will swim very often to hide and to just roam around the reef. Then this pillar is essentially connected to the center pillar by using both the plate that connects the two left pillars and the main pillar by using another plate. This is actually the most complicated part of the reef, since there's no supporting pillar right here where you might be expecting one, but somehow I've managed to glue it together in a way that this is all supported by using this pillar and this pillar, and that way creating a huge open gap for the fish, which I really like. So this is something I'm pretty okay with. And then I just created a little separate swim through right here by creating a small pillar and another plate. And the eel is underneath here. The blue ribbon eel just lurking out of its cave. Then on this side, this is the most unfinished part of the reef. There is a big chunk of rock which is slightly placed against one of the pillars right here. This is still not perfect, but I'm still thinking about how to shape this part. But overall, I've created a lot of vertical space by doing this and accommodating both all the fish and the flow to be able to move through. So I hope this video gave you some pointers in how to create a reefscape, what kind of products to use, and some inspiration on how to create verticality inside your reef tank. Of course, if you don't have a peninsula tank, it's a bit easier to create a reefscape, since you can use the back pane to support some of the reef structures. But then again, it's perfectly possible if you have a peninsula tank to create something beautiful. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. For now, stay safe out there. Bye bye.